Why then, though an age had passed, were there no traces of his bones? Had Saruman found them and scorned them, burned them with dishonor in one of his furnaces? If that were so, it was a shameful deed, but not his worst. Hey everyone, Yoyston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Today I've got a cool little video with an interesting tale for you all. The story of how Saruman might have found Isildur's remains. Well, he did at least find whatever was truly left from Isildur, and brought it back to Isengard. This lore comes primarily from the Unfinished Tales, and if you haven't checked that book out, please do. It's a great trove of lore and info Tolkien was thinking about, and some background, lore, kind of like what the appendices offer, so very interesting stories there. Yeah, please check that out. My friends, thank you all for joining me today. Let's begin our tale. So, as we know with Saruman, he was looking for the ring in the Gladden Fields, and sent his servants to do his bidding there. We know that his treachery was running deep long before it was ever discovered truly by Gandalf and the other members of the White Council. And during that time, obviously, he wanted to make sure that Sauron didn't get the ring first, and that he had as much time to search for the ring in the Gladden Fields and the Vales of Anduin and so forth, before anyone else really found out what he was doing, and before anyone else could find the ring. Now, he never found the ring, of course, but what he did find, and if the ring had actually remained at that point in the water, he probably would have found it. What he did find was really interesting, because he found the Elendilmere, which is like this circlet, the Star of Elendil. There were two that were made. This was the first one that was lost with Isildur when he drowned. And he also found a fine chain that once held the ring for Isildur. So, this is fascinating. We obviously know that Deagle and Smeagol were out fishing near the Anduin in one of the offshooting little parts of the water there, a pond or something like that. And they found, Deagle found the ring, and Smeagol murdered him there. But they didn't pull up anything else. They didn't pull up the Elendilmere or anything like that. Saruman did, or at least his servants did, and brought it back to Isengard. Now, the Elendilmere symbolized kingship from Numenor. This was a prized Númenórean possession, which, for whatever reason, Saruman always had a knack of obtaining. Orthanc and the Palantir, and now the Elendilmere. He was a hoarder of lost Númenórean relics. And so he also probably coveted that. And who knows how long he had it? Probably just towards the end of the Third Age, maybe a few decades. But of course he never returned it, because eventually when Aragorn found this, he saw just how incredible of a find this was and would wear it on the high occasions of being a king. This was not for everyday wear or use. So, as for Isildur's true body and his bones, there's speculation even in this part of the lore, as the quote at the beginning of the video states. Perhaps Saruman did find his bones and burned them out of just some spite that he had for not finding the ring, but finding pretty much everything except that. Or perhaps his body was washed away, his bones were spread through the Anduin, or buried under a lot of sand, or something like that. Who truly knows? But it is really interesting that Saruman would have found them because he found all these other possessions of Isildur. It's really interesting conjecture that's offered in the Unfinished Tales that Saruman might have burned his bones. It's a mystery that we'll probably never know the answer to, one of many of the enigmatic parts of Tolkien's works, but it would just show how devious Saruman is. Kind of like when Wormtongue might have eaten a hobbit and then disposed of whatever was left himself. So my question for you all is, do you think Saruman found his bones and destroyed them, or something else happened to them? Again, Isildur likely died in shallow water, so it's likely his bones didn't go too far. This was only uncovered by Aragorn and Gimli upon entering and searching the Tower of Orthanc after Aragorn had already become king. Obviously, then the Key of Orthanc was theirs, and given to them by Treebeard. And so he wished to reset up the Palantir of Orthanc, King Elisar. And it was actually only with the aid of Gimli that Aragorn was even able to find this hidden door in the steel closet, which was certainly intended to carry the One Ring if it was ever found. So that's it. That's the little tale from the Unfinished Tales. My friends, let me know your thoughts about this. From this tale, we see that there are so many secrets to always be discovered, even when we think we know everything, both in Middle-earth and real life. Thank you all for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this little tidbit of lore in the comments below. If you'd like to support the channel, we have a partnership with Mythologie Candles through the link in the description below. Use code Men of the West for 10% off that first order or checkout CastleCon's Lord of the Rings replicas and use the code WEST at checkout. And please take a look at our merch. Join our memberships and Patreon for access to our Discord server and our monthly podcast. And take a look at Masters of Mythology, our second channels on myths and legends. Finally, thanks to our Valar tier patrons and YouTube members, Joby Weasel, Ed Patterson, ComicNut64, Zoomi, and Peter Sheppard. My friends, don't forget to subscribe to join the Men of the West, and thank you all for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one.